Hey, I'm Adam, 28 years old. Until a month ago, I was living in my parents' spare room. Believe me, that wasn't my ideal situation. If I'd had a choice, I would have been anywhere but there. But life, right? After college, I got a pretty good job, a computer science gig at a decent-sized tech company. Then boom, the pandemic hit, and they started laying people off. I was one of the first to go. For the next year and a half, I applied to tons of jobs. I had a few interviews, but nothing ever panned out. Finally, I ran out of money, and moving back home was my only option. I figured it would be temporary. My parents, not so much. At first, it wasn't terrible. My dad, Mark, is pretty quiet, keeps to himself. But my mom, Diane, man, she made me feel every single thing I ate, every light I turned on. "This isn't a hotel, you know," she'd say, all the time. At least once a week, she'd let out a sigh that could probably be heard next door if I left a single dish in the sink. I just figured she was stressed at first, but her little digs turned into straight-up criticism. "Your cousin Rachel, she just bought a house, and she's 2 years younger than you," she'd say, while wiping down the already spotless kitchen counter for the fifth time that morning. Or, "It's really sad you're still here at your age. Your father and I were practically raising a family by the time we were 28. I tried, I really did. I offered to cook, clean, cut the grass, even fix the internet. When things got bad, I'd take on whatever freelance gigs I could find, like building websites for folks around town or helping a family friend get their online store up and running. I wasn't just being a couch potato, but in my mom's eyes, it was all the same. I was still a freeloader. It didn't help matters that my younger brother, Jordan, was the favorite. He's 24, works in finance, the whole downtown high-rise thing, and he makes sure everyone knows it. He hardly ever stops by unless it's a holiday or mom practically begs him to come to dinner. But when he does show up, it's like a miracle. Suddenly, my mom's whole vibe shifts. Her voice turns super sweet and bubbly. "There's my baby," she'd coo. "You look so good. Are you working out?" Meanwhile, I'm over in the corner, holding a bag of recycling, trying to stay invisible. One night, Jordan came over for dinner, and I could feel it coming. I was setting the table, putting down the mismatched plates with the usual apathy I've perfected since they always act like I'm an outsider anyway. Jordan barely even looked at me. He made some comment about gas prices and how some people are fortunate enough not to have to drive to work. I didn't bite, but then Mom poured him a drink and giggled way too loud at something he said. Then she turned to me and asked, "Have you even bothered trying to find a real job lately?" My chest just constricted. I'd already told her about the 2 interviews I had that week, but she just brushed it off. "You know," Jordan casually mentioned, not even glancing my way, "sometimes it's not bad luck, it's just bad decisions." That was the breaking point, the moment everything changed. I didn't explode, I didn't throw a fit. I just grabbed my plate, went back to the kitchen, and scarfed down my food standing there at the counter, just like when I was a kid. I could hear their laughter from the dining room. It was a jumble of noise, but I picked up bits and pieces. Can't baby him forever. Needs to get it together. It's pathetic at this point. The next day, I was in the den, my laptop open, trying to wrap up this freelance gig redesigning a bakery's website when Mom walked in. She didn't bother knocking, she never does. She just stood there in the doorway, arms crossed, and I knew what was coming. "You need to start paying rent," she said, her voice flat. I nodded, I'd heard it all before. I'd already told her I'd help out once I got paid for the website. "I'm not talking about maybe someday, I'm talking now, today." I just stared at her, totally thrown. "You want me to write you a check with money I don't have? Adam, I need you to grow up. This has gone on long enough. We've done more than enough, you're just a freeloader." That word hit me hard, way harder than I thought it would. Freeloader. She said it with this look of pure disgust, like I was something nasty stuck to her shoe. Before I could even say a word, she turned and was already pulling a duffel bag out of the closet. I swear, before I could even think, she was back in the room, practically chucking my stuff at me. "Get out, you leech," she spat out. I didn't say a word. Didn't even let a tear fall. I just zipped up the bag, tossed in my laptop, the charger, and my toothbrush, and walked out. That word, leech, just echoed in my ears all the way down the driveway. I crashed on friends' couches for a while, first with Luca's, then my ex-girlfriend. She was nice enough to let me stay while I got my act together. But honestly, that time of being totally on my own, even though it freaked me out, gave me the kick in the pants I needed. I hustled for more freelance gigs and even helped this local artist set up a website to sell her art prints. Then, out of the blue one night, I got a message on LinkedIn from a recruiter who'd seen my portfolio. Within a week, I was interviewing for a work-from-home job at a tech startup, and I got hired. The money wasn't amazing, not the kind that would let me buy a mansion, but it was enough to start getting my life back. And the best part? It came with full benefits and let me work from anywhere. So I did something completely unexpected even for me. I used the money I'd saved up freelancing and got my own studio apartment. It was small, sure, but it was mine. Nobody could kick me out. Nobody could call me a drain. About 3 weeks after I moved in, I was wrapping up some work when I noticed a call from my dad. I hadn't heard a peep from him since I left. Not even a "how are you?" I let it go to voicemail. Then another call, then a text. "Why did the bank freeze our account?" I just stared. What? Then it hit me. I hadn't thought about it in ages. Way back when I was totally broke, my dad had asked me to help him out with their bank accounts. He was sick of going to the bank, and since I knew my way around computers, he wanted me to set up online access, mobile banking, and most importantly, connect their account to their tax software. I'd taken him through the whole thing, step by step. We put my email and phone number as backup contacts. I was even a second admin on their joint account, not to take any money, but just in case something went wrong. And yeah, that access was still active. I didn't say anything right away. I just sat there, staring at the message. I pictured them at the kitchen table, Mom walking around, Dad messing with the banking app, maybe even on the phone with customer service, only to hear they were locked out and needed a secondary contact to get back in. That's when I typed back a reply. I asked the leech. No emojis, no explanation, just those 3 words. And in less than an hour, everything went to hell. I barely had time to grab some lunch before my phone started going crazy. This time, it was my mom. 3 missed calls in less than 5 minutes. Then the texts started rolling in. Mom texted, "Adam, this isn't funny, call your father back. We can't pay the credit card bill. Are you really doing this to us? After everything we've done for you? Fix this. Now." I didn't answer. This was it. For the first time in ages, I had a little power, and I wasn't gonna let it slip away. I wasn't about to get all twisted up in some mean, nasty revenge plot, but I wanted them to own up to things. I really wanted them to see the real me, the one they always ignored. Not the lazy person they thought I was, but the one who quietly ran their whole house, paying all the bills online, keeping their computers safe, making sure they didn't forget to do their taxes, fixing the Wi-Fi, and even catching some sketchy charges on their card once. They knew all that, of course. But to them, I was still just some bum freeloading off them. That night, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. I just picked it up, the way you do. "Adam?" It was my dad, trying to sound all cool and collected, but I could hear the worry in his voice. "Look, we need to get into our bank account. It's locked." And they said you're the secondary administrator. "I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything," I said, keeping it cool. "The security system locked it automatically after too many tries." "Okay, fine, that's fine. Just help us unlock it." There was a beat of silence. I just stayed quiet. Then he stuttered, "Please." The word felt so weird coming out of his mouth, like some language he hadn't spoken in years. "Sure," I said, "but first I want to talk about something." Silence again. "Like why your wife screamed at me in front of Jordan, calling me a leech and throwing my stuff out." Another long pause. "Adam, let's not." "No, we are going to. You want me to fix this mess for you again?" "All right, so you're going to listen. Just that. No interrupting. No trying to justify anything. Just listen." A little breathy sound came over the phone, but he didn't hang up. I hadn't asked to come back. Honestly, I didn't want to go anywhere near that place again, but I tried so hard to help. I cooked meals, cleaned the house, fixed stuff around the place. I even earned some money. Not a ton, but enough to cover my own food and give you gas money when the car always seemed to be broken down. And for all that, I was treated like some unwanted mutt at the dinner table. "Adam, I'm not finished." My voice kind of wobbled. All the years of anger of being shut down finally were bubbling up. She called me a freeloader. She threw me out like I was garbage. And you just stood there. You let her do that. He didn't say a word. She embarrassed me in front of Jordan like I was a total screw-up. But the truth is, your bank account, it's been doing all right because I was the one making sure it was. You couldn't even figure out how to change your password without me. Okay, he mumbled. "You've made your point." "No, I haven't." I stood up from my chair and started walking back and forth in my little apartment. "You both acted like I was a failure who deserved to be kicked while I was already down. And now you need me." Another long silence. Yes, he finally said. We do. The plainness of those 3 words hit me hard, not in a good way, more like when the wind gets knocked out of you. Because right then, I realized they didn't care why I was struggling. It was only when I was useful that they even paid attention to me. I'm not a bad person, though. I never let bills pile up out of spite or anything. But this time, I wasn't letting it go. Same as always, I laid out my terms. I'd give them access to the account again, but first, I needed a proper apology from both of them face to face. And no, not one of those mumbled sorries where Dad shifted his feet and Mom pretended nothing happened. I wanted them to actually own it. And I needed some space. No asking for favors for at least 6 months. No guilt trips, no popping by unexpectedly. And I was done being their financial admin, period. You guys can manage your own money from now on, I told them, or get Jordan to help. My dad sighed. She's not gonna be happy about this, he said. Honestly, getting kicked out of the house I grew up in wasn't exactly a picnic. There was this awkward silence. Then he said, I'll talk to her. The call ended and my hands were shaking. I was angry, wired, and heartbroken all at once. I'd never talked to my dad like that before, ever, but you know what? I didn't feel one bit bad, not this time. 2 days later, I got an email from Mom. Short, stiff, and super formal. It started with, I realize I said things I shouldn't have, and ended with, we hope you're doing well. No signature, no love, Mom. But I got what I wanted. I unlocked the account and immediately cut myself off from it. Then I blocked their number for a whole week. Not to get back at them, just to catch my breath, to think. And then, well, then the real trouble started. You see, the problem is, when you pull out the one who's secretly holding everything together, when the one who does it all is gone, everyone realizes how much they depended on them. I found out what came next. Not with a call or anyone showing up on my doorstep, but on my cousin Lily's Instagram. She'd posted a quick boomerang video during Sunday brunch at Grandma's. Mom was at the end of the table, looking rigid, with her wine glass still full and her mouth all tight like she'd tasted something sour. Dad was next to her, massaging his temples like someone who just tried the internet for the first time and bombed. Then there was Jordan across from them, and that cocky smirk he always had was gone, swapped with a new frown. The caption said, when the group project loses the only one who actually knows what's up. Family drama. I messaged her privately. What happened? Her response was immediate. Lol. Your mom's been struggling to get into her online banking for a week. Locked the account again this morning. Jordan tried to fix it and somehow messed it up more. Now she's saying you sabotaged it. I just stared at my phone, seriously blown away at how quickly the blame came back to me. But I wasn't even mad, just exhausted. The kind of tired that goes past your bones. Because there it was, all over again. No matter how much I helped or how quietly I worked, the second something went wrong, I was the bad guy. And apparently, it didn't end there. Once I cut off access to their tax stuff, my dad figured out he didn't have the login info for the new system I set up last year. He called customer service, and they needed to confirm his last tax return. Guess who filed that, me? Using my email, with the password saved on a private Google Drive they couldn't get into anymore. That would have been fixable, maybe, except Jordan, bless his heart, decided to just make a new account using my dad's social security number. The system freaked out, thought it was identity theft, and locked everything down. Tax software, online records, everything, even his HSA account. They couldn't touch a penny. Lily filled me in on the drama like it was a juicy TV show. Mom told Grandma I did it out of spite, and they were all laughing. I just texted back. I did warn them, I really did. I was super clear, serious, set some boundaries. Not threats, nothing like that, just boundaries. And they acted like I was just saying stuff. A week later, there was a knock on my apartment door. I knew it was them before I even looked. My building's hallway made a certain echo when someone was standing there. Heavy footsteps, not in any kind of hurry. I slowly opened the door. There they were, my parents. Mom clutching her purse like a weapon, Dad's tie a little messed up like he'd gotten ready in a hurry. Neither of them said a word. I stepped back. So if you're here to start a fight, just don't bother. They walked in, my parents, and this huge silence hung in the air for a whole minute before Mom finally spoke. We need your help, she said, her voice tight. 3 weeks earlier, she'd tossed my stuff out and told me to hit the road. And now, here she was, in my cramped little apartment looking at my cheap IKEA stuff and that half-eaten takeout asking me for help. It was totally crazy. Dad tried to explain what happened, but I already knew the whole story. Jordan, my brother, had tried to fix their money problems, totally bombed, and then just disappeared, probably too ashamed to admit he couldn't handle something that wasn't in a spreadsheet. "We can't even get to our joint savings," Mom whispered, her voice shaking a little. "We missed the mortgage payment. We're getting hit with late fees." "That's awful," I said, meaning it. "You guys must feel terrible." She looked up at me, and for once she wasn't all angry and defensive. Her voice was shaky. "I'm sorry," she said, just like that. No buts, no excuses, just a plain "I'm sorry." Dad chimed in. "We didn't realize how much you were doing. We thought we were being generous letting you live with us, but we were blind." That's when it hit me, not them, me. All the stuff I'd been holding inside, the anger, the hurt, the feeling like a complete failure, it all just poured out. I didn't scream, I didn't cry. I just told them the truth. I told them what it felt like to be constantly compared to Jordan, to be treated like I was worthless, even though I was busting my butt just to make ends meet. It always felt like they only liked me when I did well, never for just trying. Getting kicked out wasn't just embarrassing, it hit me hard. I was totally expendable to them. Mom just sat there, taking it all in, her face showing how much it hurt. "I didn't know," she mumbled. I believe her, kind of, but I think she chose not to know. Big difference. They wanted me back, said they needed my help to get things going again, promised to pay me. Said things would change, but I said no way. "I'll walk you through fixing everything," I told them. "I'll even write it all down, but I'm not coming back. I have a job, an apartment, and finally some peace." They looked shocked, like my little apartment was some kind of protest, but to me, it was my safe haven. I got out my laptop and showed them how to do it. It took forever, 2 hours of resetting passwords, checking IDs, and calling tech support. Mom was quiet the whole time. Dad kept grumbling, "This is ridiculous," every time he had to answer a security question. When we were done, I closed the laptop. "I'll send you those instructions," I said, "but that's it. No more admin access for me, no more free tech support. You're grown-ups, you can figure it out." They stood up, too. Dad nodded, almost like he respected me. Mom looked like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. And as they left, I felt something I hadn't felt in ages. Free. I wish that was the end of it, though. Okay, so they supposedly learned something and we were all supposed to be cool, all respectful and whatnot. But honestly, families, especially mine, they don't just magically change. It's not like they just suddenly become all sensitive and understanding. What happened after? That's where things got real. About 2 weeks after they were out of my place, things started to get weird. Not from them, not from my folks. Actually, they left me alone, which was shocking, but it was from other people. My Aunt Cheryl messaged me on Facebook. "Hey, sweetie, heard you got your own place. That's awesome. Diane says you've been kinda distant. Just checking in, you doing all right?" Then my cousin Trevor sent me a screenshot of a group chat where my mom was totally losing it. "I think Adam's being brainwashed by his new job. He's changed. Cold, distant, I don't even know him anymore. All I did was ask for help and he acted like I'd betrayed him." And then Jordan, he sent me this super long, super self-important email. "Hey man, I know things are tense, but maybe you need to take some responsibility too. Mom and Dad aren't perfect, but they're still our parents. Maybe instead of blaming them, you could just be more understanding. You've had a tough time, we all do. It doesn't mean the whole world's out to get you. Let's catch up soon. Maybe coffee?" I just deleted it without answering. You know, they just didn't get it, not really. It wasn't about one stupid fight or some mean comment, or even just a bad day. It was years, man, years of being the family tech support, always fixing everyone's problems, but never good enough to sit at the grown-up table. Years of watching my achievements get brushed aside while Jordan's little wins, they were treated like he'd found the cure for cancer. And the birthday cards, always that pathetic, "Maybe next year will be better" crap. Meanwhile, Jordan got fancy watches and huge family dinners. It was a slow, agonizing death by 1,000 paper cuts. But I didn't want revenge, not some childish, dramatic thing like messing with their credit or hacking their Facebook. I wanted something way more lasting. Space, respect, and the sweet feeling of building a life where they weren't the center of everything. That chance came faster than I thought. Like a month after our last blow-up, my company said they were expanding their remote work thing and opening a new office in Toronto. They offered relocation bonuses to a few of us, and I grabbed it. A fresh start, a whole new city. No family drama in sight. I got a tiny one-bedroom downtown, killer view of the skyline, and a corner desk where I could look out at the city. It wasn't fancy, but it was all mine. Paid for by a job I got all by myself, not a dime from the people who used to call me a freeloader. I sent one last email to my parents before I left, not because I owed them anything, but because I wanted to make sure they understood. Hey, Mom and Dad, just a heads up. I've moved to Toronto for a job. I won't be able to help out with anything anymore, like tech stuff or accounts. I've taken myself off everything, and you're now in charge. Hopefully, this will be good for all of us. Take care, Adam. Nothing back, not even a like. Used to bother me, but not now. Toronto's been great. I found a coding group, met some cool people, and I'm even volunteering at a place that teaches seniors about computers. Helping someone's grandma set up online security really makes me think about what being patient and respectful actually means. Meanwhile, things back home kept getting worse. My sister, Lily, she's like my family gossip hotline, told me Mom was trying to get Jordan to do all the stuff I used to. He told her he was swamped, but she kept laying on the guilt trip, saying, Adam never complained about doing all this. He finally snapped and told her, maybe you shouldn't have treated him so badly. Turns out even their perfect son has a breaking point. And then the real disaster. Dad messed up their taxes, big time. He put their mortgage interest in the wrong spot, and now they're being audited. It wasn't some huge FBI thing, but enough of a red flag popped up that they had to redo their taxes and explain things to the IRS for a few years. They tried reaching out to that tax software company, but wouldn't you know it, their old recovery email was gone. Poof, deactivated because I'd shut it down after we split up. So they had to get a real accountant, one who charged $150 an hour and didn't answer texts at 2 a.m. The money stung, sure, but it wasn't the worst of it. What really got to them was losing the control. They'd gotten so used to having someone jump whenever they snapped their fingers, someone who'd fix anything, afraid of what would happen if they didn't. That person was gone. And you know what? I didn't even know about the audit until I found out. From who? Lily, my mom. She'd been a total grump for days. Then it came out, Dad screwed up the taxes. She mumbled something about how if that leech, that's what she still called me, by the way, was still around, none of this would have happened. Seriously, that's what hit me. Even after everything, she still thought of me as some parasite. Not to my face, of course. Just behind my back where she thought she was safe to trash me. And honestly, it should have crushed me, ripped that old wound right open. But it didn't. Because by then, I had proof. Proof her version of me was a lie. I had a job I loved, good friends who respected me, a landlord who trusted me with the rent, a team who depended on me to get the job done, my own apartment, my own money, my own life free of her control. So there I was in my chilly Toronto apartment, all cozy that evening. I went to my desk, pulled up my ancient Google Drive, and got rid of the very last folder I had ever shared with my folks. Its name was Banking for Mom and Dad. Do not delete. One click and it was gone. That's when I smiled. It's because parasites don't make a life for themselves, right? People do. And for the first time in a while, I remembered who I actually was.